Hi, my name is Mike Verdu. I'm the executive producer on Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars. So we're really excited. We've got the multiplayer for the game up and running. We've got GDI versus Nod, so it's actually very cool to see CNC coming to life. And we are most definitely updating a classic, so we're trying to take what people remember that was great about CNC and fuse it with everything that we've learned about RTS games for the last 7 years and make something that is state-of-the-art, but still has that emotional resonance and that same gameplay that made CNC such a great series.
You can't kill the Messiah.
So Kane is back, and we're delighted to announce that Joe Kukin is coming back as Kane. We're very excited to be working with him, and I think you'll see from the videos that he definitely looks like Kane, and so we're delighted to have him back. And with Nod in Command & Conquer 3, we're definitely taking a slightly more nuanced view than you found with Nod in the first 2 games. This is, after all, a superpower that can go toe-to-toe with GDI. They have millions of members, so there's got to be something that's appealing about the Brotherhood of Nod to these people in the yellow zones that are being recruited into the organization. So GDI is really an extrapolation of first world countries, even as we know them now, so their motivations are really understandable. I think they view themselves as kind of the white knights of the world in 2047. They're trying to reverse the biggest environmental cataclysm in history with Tiberium slowly consuming the Earth. They view it as an evil thing, something to be gotten rid of. And they really can't understand why the Brotherhood of Nod is trying to accelerate this environmental catastrophe. So they really view them as virulent, nasty, sort of inexplicably self-sustaining terrorist organization. And Nod looks at the world somewhat differently. They see themselves as the representatives of the 80% of the world's population that lives in these yellow zones that are ravaged by war and infested by Tiberium, social orders broken down. They're really pretty messy places. So Nod is recruiting out of those population centers. And the people there don't see GDI quite the same way GDI sees themselves. To them, it looks like GDI sits in the blue zones, these pristine areas, pretty much using all of the world's resources. All of the world's wealth is concentrated in these areas. So it looks kind of like that GDI is keeping the good stuff for themselves and keeping the 80% of the population that lives in these war-torn areas down. And so Nod is definitely representing themselves as the strength to counter GDI's strength, the guardians of the oppressed, the hope for the future, and the way this imbalance of wealth and power is going to be redressed over time. So the Nod faction is actually, first of all, it's kind of interesting in the way the side is composed. Because Nod is recruiting large numbers of people out of these yellow zones, they have sort of this mix of low-tech and high-tech. So if you think of the Northern Alliance operating with the U.S. Special Forces and the CIA in Afghanistan, you had this really interesting combination of low-tech forces on the ground, and then some very high-tech stuff and some very highly trained elite units helping to coordinate. So Nod in 2047 has a little bit of that flavor. So you have these hordes of militants and fanatics which are not as well trained, but definitely kind of the cannon fodder of the Nod faction. And then you have the super elite hardcore troops that are the point of the spear for Nod. And they have the latest in technology. Their technology is actually, in a lot of ways, much farther along than GDI's technology is. Highly trained, really, really good. And these two forces work together to take the war to GDI. And yeah, Nod is all about ambush, hit and run, stealth tactics. It's a very cool side, a fun side to play. Multiplayer is definitely fast. I mean, everything that we're doing in CNC3 kind of goes through our internal razor. Does it contribute to fast, fluid, and fun gameplay? The pace of the game is really quick. You can have a very satisfying multiplayer encounter in 10 or 15 minutes. And of course, if you want a turtle, you can fully express the tech tree, build up a huge army, and the games can last as long as you want. But you can absolutely go in and have a really quick and satisfying experience. Our goal with CNC3, with the user interface, was to make something that was accessible, but also was flexible enough and sophisticated enough so that a hardcore gamer could do everything that he needed to do with a minimum number of clicks, really fast, really flexible. And so what we've done is taken the old sidebar interface that was classic to CNC and updated it in a way that you can control all of your production queues anywhere on the battlefield, but you can also click on any unit and essentially get all the options and information associated with that unit. So we're really bringing the best of both worlds to CNC. It's a very familiar way to play for anybody who has played an RTS in the last 3 or 4 years.
Mammoth tank.
So look for Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars in 2007.